Hi guys and welcome back to another video on the channel. This is your daily 8 NXT and review from the 7th of October. It is currently the 10th of October 2025 as of recording. A bit of housekeeping before we start the review. I have been considering expanding my reviews to include JCW Lunacy because I have been interacting with some of the JCW roster are um and I've said that some of them um that I'm considering for reviewing that show. Now that show is obviously the production of the Insane Killer Aussie, and I just enjoyed the presentation of that show. I've obviously watched last night's and last week's episode, and I'm enjoying the show. So as soon as I get a bit more familiar with the broadcast and some of the roster are extra. I might actually expand on. Might actually expand on my reviews on this um channel, and shout out to Jasmine Singh here on our ECW Val A and current JCW Val A for the interactions especially. She seems very open to chatting to chatting to wrestling fans, but on to the topic. Could you act on for a bill NXT review? So the show actually acts of a hype of a deal of documenting the history of the two um Orlando and NXT and ENA, and guys, I have to say that this was uh, reduced, but then we head into the very first match of the night, and it's enough to take home match for both of the NXT tag titles and the ENA tag team championships. Now, the ups versus the Hardys, and I have to actually say it's I have to actually say it because a decent match. I'm not going to always for sport like I usually do, as I can't be asked. But Horizon looks wrestled one of the best or my matches. They cut off their ring very well. etc. Of course, all the Darks they jumped the ring at the start of the match, and it causes a big chaos. And he was the hard, he's in the back foot from to the match. Jeff is in the here for a long time to ask and then Matt Hardy gets a bit of off it and Sin until Dark State it control again and eventually gets a hot tag to Jeff in between the Dark States offense he hits a few I X either side of the offense but he gets a killer tag to my the killer tag to he hits he hits his version of the cover the fate which is kind of like another version of the move as Jeff comes out of it then hits or regular stiffly. Jeff Hardy and hits a swanton bomb, gets um hits a swanton bomb, gets a 3 count and a Hardy. He's come over able of championships now. This is a concern for me because the Hardys are supposed to defend the titles at House of Gill or tonight and at House of Gill or tonight in Brooklyn in New York. Now it's obviously advertised that they'll defend against Team 3D, also known as the Dudley Boys, and they'll put both titles on the line as Triple H had confirmed, and that was the reason why they decided to put the tag titles on the that was the reason why they decided to put the NXT tag titles on the Hardys to give it a more historical feel. So the Hardys are putting both lots of championships on the line. But then you discover that because obviously it's bound for Gil Ori and you've got the last tables match between Team 3D and the Hardy Boys but bound for Gil Ori but then you discover that they're the same stipulation House of Gil Ori will just JD from New York's promotion. I can't stand that prick to be honest with which is why I forgave those shows a second but in any case it's the same stipulation so my hope is that Hardy's are retaining that match in order to fulfill the obligation that was put forward for any bound for glory, or it'll make Dark State even more even more particularly and this was actually on a Dark State's best on my geez, I'm not a great fan of the whole faction as a whole. I think a few members of chemistry. I'm not particularly a big fan of Cutler or James's innuendos, etc. That shit, that shit has to be put on. Or as dark state are kind of a more renegade type faction, and that's what they're going for, or and that's what you're led to believe. And during the course of this match, you see the two referees of the instructions to both set teams for um the 8-person tag matches because of course Joe Hendry is the guest referee for the men, and Jordan Gray is similar for the women. So next up is the women's 8-man, and I have to actually say this was probably the best come out the two 8-person tag matches. You had a lot more unpredictability. You had Haria Shade, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, the former Jakarta Jackson eliminating Jada Park. Oh, um, she had a bit of the old school Jeff Hardy ring. You sort of it, and I think it's a teacher to be honest. Anyway, and you see this, but she's a Jada Park, or as soon as eh, as, as soon as we come back, or um, yeah, um, so, you didn't really see James, he was on the back, was on the back foot, Chad David, um, Chad David, play, yeah, well, eliminated momentarily, it, or his soul, hits the soul, and the, chart on, Chad David was probably, able on the bed, or occasions, and, she hit some, so, well, she hits the Um, so she hits the social targets the or recount extra with all 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 of ice so the um um part of the no or coach tag team champions and the inspiration formerly the iconic X and a half actually he said even proved and even proved a hell of a lot or as a form of they feel a bit more sort of confident as they transition into moves etc. varies a lot more. All ish, and then they just seem like a more cohesive unit. They're obviously they've obviously got even of the children as well over the past couple of years, so they've probably sort of really evaluated decisions, etc. And and then yeah, I thought they did get a good bit of offense and early on, but that's the thing. But that's the thing. The whole sort of story within it is building up to kill any job or be in a trade or tennis. He or any is for lost a fight. Any is bad. Oh, and should um and should and should she does quite well. She get she she get sort of the oh of ice, but she can't get rid of she can't get rid of the so she can't get rid of the soul when JC until um until unfortunately it relaxed AC and she gets her and she gets her AC in and gets up to NXT to they eventually uh, and Team NXT get the victory and it it kinda puts Killer and Needle Orton in a bit of a all kinda hard place in terms of story because obviously she's decided to take up Santino Marella as charge for this event and essentially guys it could lead to hostility in the war or room in terms of story. J C J E C J in fact no she doesn't get rid of J E C so only because it's JC and so all that are the source of rivals and I saw most in her or in the match, but JEC and so can't really go away to get done and JC hits her on or and that gets a victory or I had to correct myself. It was in off the bill and tag so of so of course too and he is a bit pissed off that her team had been um ill eliminated. So basically, so uh, I was over say I know okay very good. I know a very good match, but um, but yeah. So the in a bit way it are on ECG, ECG, GGG, ECG, ECG, and actually say and her can get her actually Asians the was a bit of ancient still, but in but in Asian and that's what he is still not what's it old so yeah but and of it always Aria says so I'm still not happy that that you had taken this opportunity and obviously that and obviously that kinda and obviously that kinda adds to obviously that kinda adds to the sort of eventual um eventual story and the all of this will it Zaria on and on s- all and then you see well it another or and she basically it says that so she basically says to the area so Ricardo Einsman Marlin Einsman yeah how selfish Jordan Getty he says she um as she attempted to Anja or etc. And essentially, it's kind of it's to a bit of a bit of the ancient, but in so the and um 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 all the uh and um um another and another all she says what the cut up probably you know that you want my two titles and she says are extension only he has eyes for the of an American championship that kind of erase the whole something of American championship and it's to the acts so um unfortunately it been as I'm not too on it so yeah and then you seem I mean the anything that comes Ona and Ava's office. She apologizes to Ava about getting involved in the whole and then the whole and the a whole sort of Josh or the legs miles on um and those sort of I was on Josh or the legs um for the NX championship and the whole sort of NXT team for, for the finals or vessel here or jerseys Eva and says I know what you've brought up to come do now you want a chance to or of yourself on the next year. I'm going to give you that opportunity. I'm going to give you that opportunity. Soon Josh or X kind of storms in and he actually he says if I give me Mark owner he cost me the to join him next. He owner hides behind to the or Eva kind of makes it a show. She says, "Oh, yeah, it'll be Josh or Riggs versus the and these marks are done in it to econ NXT and obviously um and obviously as soon as um the segment it's over, he then head to the North American Championship match. Ethan Page and Mustafa Ali. Again, a very competitive. Again, a very competitive match here. I enjoyed it. Ethan Page gets the victory by Owl. He's Owl. He's in attached the headphone and he oh and he hits it to a speaker in and gets a Ulrika and in the backstage area he can he'd asks Doctor Wagner Jr. As a fan of Ethan Page's performance and his title attention Wagner as he's going to come for the NXT he's going to come for the NXT North American Championship. Then of course um and I'm so I'm so and of also It's just an actual issue was people uses Avion hates he says what the crap Avion are not sure under the doctor Agnodrinium has come done with if are getting he was on and I'm really sure well honestly Chipper I think our juniors has but and he says I'm not Avion I'm not Avion but I'll see you next week so essentially that so so essentially that kinda so essentially that kinda takes oh, is and you've got Avion hates it as behind um as behind um as behind oh X's is so of course we'll have to see how that all develops and it's about setting figures up for the future. You saw um, in eight and the killer Annie Jordan and Jordan get her face kind of what it for and you see um and then and you see in them and um and you see them